The biting winter wind whipped across the open road, carrying with it a flurry of snowflakes that seemed to dance mockingly in the air. It was on a night like this, where the world felt hostile and frozen, that a truly remarkable story of compassion and connection began. A young man, bundled up against the frigid cold, stumbled upon a sight that would change his life forever. In the middle of the icy road stood a deer. But this wasn't the graceful creature one would normally associate with the wild. No, this deer was in distress. Its face was so heavily encrusted with ice that it could barely move. The poor animal staggered, its legs trembling under its weight, and let out pained cries that echoed into the stillness of the night. Passing cars paid no attention to the creature, their headlights slicing through the snow as they sped by. It was a scene of desperation, a living being abandoned by the world, teetering on the brink of collapse. But where others turned a blind eye, this young man acted. Without hesitation, he approached the terrified animal. His breath fogged in the cold air as he knelt beside the deer, his gloved hands reaching out carefully. The deer flinched and tried to back away, but its energy was spent. The layers of ice and snow clinging to its face had rendered it nearly immobile. It was clear that if someone didn't intervene, the animal wouldn't survive the night. The man worked methodically, his fingers carefully chipping away at the ice. Every movement was deliberate, every touch gentle. The deer's cries of pain pierced his heart, but he pressed on, knowing that his actions were its only chance at survival. The ice clung stubbornly to the deer's fur, making the task slow and excruciating. But finally, after what felt like an eternity, the deer's face was freed. It blinked its wide, terrified eyes and took a shuddering breath. Without warning, the deer bolted. Its hooves slipped on the icy road, and it collapsed once more. The man's heart sank as he watched the animal struggle to rise, its body too weak to carry it forward. He approached again, his presence a calming force amidst the chaos. This time, the deer seemed to understand. It allowed him to guide it to the edge of the road, away from the danger of passing cars. And then, with a burst of strength, it disappeared into the forest, leaving the man alone on the snowy roadside. It was a moment that would stay with him forever. He couldn't help but wonder what had become of the deer. Had it survived the harsh winter? Did it remember the stranger who had saved its life? Little did he know, this was only the beginning of their story. Fast forward 3 years. The young man, now settled into a quiet life on the edge of the woods, was enjoying the peaceful routine of his days. Winter had returned, blanketing the landscape in a thick layer of snow. It was on one such frosty morning, as he opened his front door, that he was greeted by a sight that took his breath away. Standing in his yard amidst a gentle snowfall was a deer. But not just any deer. It was the very same one he had saved all those years ago. Its face, now free of the icy prison that had once ensnared it, was unmistakable. And it wasn't alone. Behind it stood an entire herd, their curious eyes watching him intently. At the head of the group, the deer he recognized stared at him with a gaze that seemed almost knowing. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. The man felt an overwhelming sense of awe and gratitude. The connection he had once felt with the animal was still there, stronger than ever. It was as if the deer had returned to repay his kindness, to show him that his actions had mattered. Without thinking, the man stepped back into his house and grabbed a loaf of bread. He tore it into pieces and laid them gently on the snow in front of the deer. Slowly, cautiously, the animal approached. Its hooves crunched on the snow as it came closer, its movements deliberate but trusting. The man held his breath as the deer bent its head and began to eat. It was a moment of pure connection, a bridge between two worlds. From that day on, the deer became a regular visitor. It would often appear in the man's yard, sometimes alone, sometimes with its herd. Over time, their bond grew stronger. The once wild creature began to show a level of trust that was nothing short of extraordinary. It would nuzzle the man's hand, follow him around the yard, and even venture into the house on particularly cold nights. The transformation was remarkable. The deer, once a symbol of the untamed wilderness, had become a part of the man's life in a way he never thought possible. It would lay on the warm carpet in his living room, its large eyes watching him as he went about his day. On quiet evenings, they would sit together, the man watching TV while the deer rested by his side. It was a bond that defied logic, a testament to the unspoken understanding that can exist between humans and animals. The man often marveled at how the deer seemed to communicate without words. Its actions spoke volumes: a nuzzle to show affection, a playful kick of its legs to invite him outside, a soft gaze to convey gratitude. It was as if the deer had adopted him into its own herd, viewing him not as a threat, but as a friend. The story didn't go unnoticed. Neighbors began to hear about the unusual friendship, and soon, the man's home became something of a local legend. People would stop by to catch a glimpse of the deer, marveling at how it interacted with the man. But he was careful to protect their bond, ensuring that the deer remained safe and respected. It wasn't a pet, it was a wild animal that had chosen to trust him, and that trust was sacred. As the years went by, the man and the deer continued to share their unique connection. The animal's visits became a cherished part of his life, a reminder of the profound impact that a single act of kindness can have. Each winter, as the snow fell and the world grew cold, the deer would return, bringing with it a sense of warmth and wonder. The man often reflected on that fateful night 3 years ago. He had saved the deer, yes, but in many ways the deer had saved him too. It had taught him the value of compassion, the importance of connection, and the beauty of the natural world. Their bond was a testament to the incredible things that can happen when humans and wildlife come together, breaking down the barriers that separate us. This story is a powerful reminder that even in the harshest of circumstances, kindness can create ripples that extend far beyond what we can see. It's a testament to the resilience of life, the beauty of the wild, and the unbreakable bond that can form when we choose to care. The man didn't set out to become a hero that night, he simply saw a creature in need and chose to act. But in doing so, he became part of a story that continues to inspire and amaze. So the next time you see an animal in need, remember this tale. Remember the deer that found its way back to the man who saved it, and the extraordinary friendship that blossomed from a single moment of compassion. Because sometimes the most meaningful connections are the ones we least expect.